For my last speech, I'm going to talk about why I feel that people should join the military. Reason why I think everybody should join the military right now is because our economy is at its worst it's been since World War II. We went from a recession to now they say it was a depression to now back to a recession, and they say that it's improving, but I'm not exactly sure if that's true. I checked some of the unemployment rates, and Nevada, the state that I live in right now, as of August 2012, had a 12.1% unemployment rate. Texas had 7.1% unemployment rate. And Puerto Rico had almost 13% unemployment rate. Yeah, Puerto Rico is not a state and it's one of our territories, but we're also responsible for taking care of them. So if they're unemployed and not having work and they need help, then we have to funnel money over into Puerto Rico. So I think that it's important for people to join the military service, if but for only reason for pay. You're guaranteed a paycheck on the 1st and 15th of every month, no matter what. Depending on what rank you are and what grade you are is going to depend on how much that money is. Last time I was on active duty, I was making almost $4,000 a month just in base pay, on top of all the extra money that I was making, which I'm about to speak about now. Is you get a housing allowance, which depending on what rank or grade you are, at the current rank that I'm at, where I live in Las Vegas, I get a little over $1,000 a month tax-free for housing allowance. Or I get, if I was married on active duty, I could go live in base housing for free. Single soldiers on active duty or Marines or Airmen, they get a free room in the barracks to live in. They don't pay for electricity, water, rent, anything. It's completely 100% free. You get a food allowance. If you don't live on base, you get about $350 to $400 a month tax-free to go towards food. If you're a single soldier or Marine or Airman, you get free food at the chow hall. It's 3 free meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You walk in, show your ID card and meal card, and you go and you get your food. You have also technical training. Big part right now is there's people are saying, oh, the reason why I can't have a job is because I don't know how to do anything. Well, guess what? You go in the military, you get to learn a job, whether it's military police, whether it's computer programming, whether it's mechanics. In the Navy, they have nuclear engineering. There's a wide variety of different technical jobs that you can learn, communications, and that you can get out in the civilian world and get out of the military and do. And in fact, a lot of civilian employers, especially the government, but other civilian employers give you veterans preference, and they give you up to 10 points on the civil service exam if you are in the military. Also travel. Big part of the reason why I enjoyed the Marine Corps as much as I did is I got to travel. I've seen half of the world, all over Asia, Cuba, and other places that I got to go to and would not have been able to go to if I had not been in the military. So not only did I get to go to these places for free, but I got a paycheck while I got to do it. Like I mentioned before, I went to Cuba. How many people in here can say that they went to Cuba? Nobody really can. Maybe some people would say, well, why would anybody want to go to Cuba? But, it's a beautiful country, and I had a really good time, and it was, being a part of history and saying that, I got to go somewhere where other people couldn't go. You also get some intangibles that you get from joining the military. You learn things like honor, integrity, judgment, stress management. As a full-time student, some people have full-time jobs on top of that. You tend to get stressed out pretty quick, get overwhelmed. Military helps you cope with stress. You're not completely immune to stress. You can't just, let it bounce off, but, being in some of the situations that you are as a military member, you get to effectively learn stress management and how to cope a little bit easier than somebody that has never been able to do that. Another one is time management. I still struggle with time management, obviously, but the military taught me, gave me the information on how to do it, and all I need to do now is just put it into practice, which sometimes it's a lot easier than other times. And, another thing goes along with time management is prioritization. Sometimes you have 2 jobs that have to get done by a certain time, and if you don't, you only have time to do one, so you have to prioritize which one's more important. Same thing with family, same thing with, your job maybe out in the civilian world. You may be a journalist. and you have two stories that have two different deadlines. Well, which story is more important? You know, a doctor, you may walk into the emergency room, you have somebody that's dying of a gunshot wound or somebody that has appendicitis. You know, which one do you pick? You have to prioritize which one to go for. You know, and that's something that you can learn while in the military. Also, I want to talk about why it's also important to join military service, not just for the benefits, but for the strength of our nation. Right now, we are constantly being challenged by different countries, Iran, North Korea, and so on and so forth. And it's very imperative that we be able to continue to have the way of life that we do. And the reason why we have the way of life that we do is because of our military. If it wasn't for people putting on the uniform and going standing a post or doing what it is that they need to do, we wouldn't have things like Apple iPhones and Xboxes and everything else that we have. We would be sitting here fighting over different, territory, and a lot of these countries that are overseas that don't have a strong military, that are dealing with civil war on a constant basis. Right now Syria comes to mind, Iran comes to mind, Afghanistan. Even though we're in there right now, they're still constantly fighting amongst each other with the Taliban and the local government. So, I feel that it's real important that for us to continue on the way that we do is that we have a strong military service. Also, another thing that I didn't speak about earlier that I wanted to was education benefits. I've talked to a lot of my friends, a lot of people out in town about college, and they keep asking, how can I afford college? And their biggest thing is they would love to go back to school, but they just can't, or they have all these student loans that they can't pay for, and now they have to work 2 or 3 jobs to try and pay off these student loans. Well, let me tell you right now, if you go into the military, you get 100% tuition assistance, up to $5,000 per fiscal year. After military service, you are eligible for the GI Bill. If you collect the GI Bill, some of us, including myself, collect up to $2,000 a month tax-free with the GI Bill while I go to school full-time. And then, of course, half-time and 3/4 time, the money will fluctuate there. The military right now will pay back your tuition loans. You have all these student loans that are out right now. Military will pay up to $50,000 for enlisted and up to $125,000 in student loans for officers. I mean, if for any reason right there, go back, have them pay off your student loans. You have to sacrifice a little bit to get that, but at least now when you get out, you don't have to worry about all those student loans that some of us have. Also, after that, some of these schools offer special scholarships and grants to military members or former military members. So there's a lot of benefits to joining the military. But for a lot of these guys that I talk to in my unit right now, the only reason why they joined was for the education benefits, and they couldn't care less about anything else. So, I mean, if one person is joining solely on the education benefits, that there right tells you how great it is. In conclusion, I think that, like I said, it's imperative that we have a strong military for the strength of our nation. Plus, I think that it'd be a really great benefit for you to join the military and, maybe put a little bit of extra money in your pocket or be able to provide for your family, knowing that you're going to get that check on the 1st and 15th of every month. All right, thank you and have a good night. Go ahead and turn off. Please.